Hey there. How y'all doing this fine morning? I am up and on trail, as you can see, right at sunrise. This is Data on Trail coming to you from the Punchbowl trailhead. Getting started on what I think is my 5th or 6th day of hiking, slack packing, with the help of the good folks from Stanimals. So, hope your morning's getting off to as good a start as mine is, and I'll holler at you a little bit further down the trail. So today's a pretty easy day. It's about 2,000 up and 2,000 down or so. It's kind of like I go up and down a little bit to start, but then I go straight downhill to about the 4-mile mark, across a bunch of bridges, some nice sights. I've been told it's a really pretty hike. Then halfway through the day I start climbing up again. I spend the last half of the day on a slow upward climb. But I am out at about 7:30, and I'm hiking today from the Punchbowl northbound to, that's unique, I haven't seen that before, 2 blazes right next to each other. I'm hiking from the Punchbowl to US 60 today. US Route 60 at 9.9 miles, that's my destination for the day. Which means I've already hiked about a mile. I have met a bunch of other hikers since I'm staying at a hostel all week who were coming through either as SOBOs or slowbos, as some of them self-labeled, or they were finishing up their thru hike this year, or they were section hikers like me. So that was a real treat. I don't usually run into all that many people when I section hike on my own. There's quite a little green tunnel here for October. My fleece only lasted half an hour. I'm 1 mile in on the day in the first half an hour, and I was already too warm for the fleece, so I had to delayer. This is a much denser part of a part hardwood and part pine forest. What I've been hiking through for most of the morning. So in this part of the forest, the leaves have fallen so thoroughly that it is a little bit difficult to discern where the Appalachian Trail actually goes. You can kind of see the path between the trees and the indentation, but trip hazards and roots and rocks and stuff are almost indistinguishable from all the leaves on the ground. Yeah, when I first started hiking, it really used to bug me when I couldn't see exactly where the trail was and see any blazes at all. But now, I think I'm just developing that eye or getting used to it. Even when I can't see the trail exactly, I can generally kind of figure out where it goes just by one or two little bare spots on the ground or the gaps between the trees. But it does make it feel more like a wildernessy hike, that's for sure. I don't know if the cell phone camera's mic will pick that up, but I'm at a point where I can hear running water in a waterfall down to my left down the hill, but I can't see it yet. It's like one of my favorite sensations on trail. I hear mountain streams in the distance, miles before I get to them. So I'm 4.1 miles in on the day. I've reached this beautiful suspension bridge. Big creek it runs over. It's a little bit bouncy though, even with just me on it. This bridge is a special treat for me because this marks 550 miles of the Appalachian Trail hiked for data on trail. So that means I am officially 25% of the way or a quarter of the way done with the AT as of right now. So I am now about 6.5 miles in on the day. It's a little after 11. Crossing this stream, and I think that my long climb for the end of the day is about to begin. It doesn't appear to be very steep, but it will be a climb out for the next 2.5 or 3 hours. I've passed 2 or 3 other hikers southbound. It's another one of those segments where you can hear the waterfall. No one's coming up, and I can see just a little bit of a creek down there shimmering in the sunlight, but not very much. Well, I guess it's the bridge first. Yeah, this is a new bridge. In fact, most of the entries from last year talk about this bridge was out, the older bridge. And they just rebuilt this one. And that is a fine example of Appalachian Trail building aesthetics there. There's quite a waterfall and water source here if you needed it. Place to soak your feet if you wanted to. And this fine piece of engineering. So new, there's no aging showing up yet, even on the bolts. Yeah, that is what an Appalachian Trail bridge can look like. So kudos to the trail builders. Nice job. So after that bridge northbound, the trail heads sort of slightly uphill next to the creek, which eventually runs under that bridge. This little brook, one little waterfall after another. It's like every 50 feet or so there's some place where you could pick out a little rock, put your feet in the water. Man, is that tempting. A little further up this creek, there's informational signage and a little bench in memory of the Brown Creek community. Another very nicely done bridge in style similar to the one I crossed a little while ago. There's my blaze, so I know I'll go up and over it. This one's not quite as new. So this is the Brown Mountain Shelter. I'm about 1.5 miles or 2 from my destination for the day. It's kind of pretty standard for the shelters in the Washington and Jefferson National Forests. A fire pit out front. There's a grate on it. Picnic table. Probably sleeps 8, 10, maybe 12 in a pinch. I'm going to sit down for just a minute here. Take the pack off and stretch some. And I'll finish up my hike for the day. Okay, so I finished my little 15-minute pack off, shoes off break at the Brown Mountain Shelter. There's my blaze heading away from the shelter. This is a very nicely positioned shelter. The Brown Mountain Shelter sits right up here and looks down on Brown Mountain Creek that I've been walking by for the last half an hour or so. So you could not just easily fetch water, but sit down there and soak your feet. And there are a lot of campsites in the flats down there in this general area. So this is a very, very nicely placed shelter. And it's only about 1.8 miles south of US 60. Maybe it's better from up here. You can see along both sides of the creek there are big flat banks that don't look like they flood very much, if at all. And I could imagine lots of room for tenting down there. I wondered if I would see any of the foundational remnants of the freed slave community that founded this Black Mountain Creek community, and I think I might have just now. That looks like a chimney that's old enough to have been here for 100 years or more. One side of the house, then chimney on the other. All I've run across so far have been some stone walls, which I think I've captured a little bit of alongside the creek that do look like they were boundary walls that were built next to flat areas that probably held cabins and things like that. But I'm still next to the fresh running water, so it's definitely a very water friendly part of the AT here. Appreciate these history lessons along the AT. I do kind of wish there were more of them. There's remnants of one of those stone walls. I'm headed this way. This is one of the last little valleys I'll be in today as I'm climbing uphill. This is where I came from. I'm climbing out to US 60 now. I have about 6/10 of a mile to go, and I have an hour and a half before my shuttle gets there, so I'm probably going to get there before they do by quite a bit, which is fine. Means I can take my time on this uphill climb, because it's a little bit steep. This is level. That's where I'm going. So, but I am climbing back up into the tree color, so that's nice. So this sign kind of marks the end point of today's hike. That 10.9 miles of the Blue Ridge Parkway is where I started today. So the road is somewhere just up here, and my phone just pinged, so I have cell phone service. I'm going to walk up there and see if I still have it at the road. Calling the guys and letting them know I'm here already, although they're probably already on their way. Today was a good hike. 10.9 miles, 2,000 feet or so up, 3,000 feet or so down. It's about 2 o'clock. I started at 7:30, so that's about the same amount of time that it took me to hike the same distance yesterday. I think I see the road up ahead just beyond these power lines. I'm going to get back to Stanimals and fix myself some ramen noodles.